Hi. Welcome to Movie Plots. Today we recap the 2011 horror film Fright Night. Spoilers ahead. The movie begins in a small suburban neighborhood in Las Vegas, where inside a home we hear on the news that people have gone missing in the area. A boy is thrown out of a room by something that continues to eat a woman. He runs upstairs and hides under his parents' bed, who have already had a visit from the intruder. While the dog makes the smarter decision of leaving the house. As the boy fumbles with his parents' gun, trying to unlock the child's safety, his father is dragged away beside him by a pale humanoid, before the boy gets snatched. The next day we meet local nerd turned cool kid Charlie Brewster, who talks with a girl across the street named Doris, a dancer on the Vegas Strip. Charlie's mother Jane is a real estate agent, and local nosy Nellie, with her latest focus being the new neighbor that anyone has yet to see. Since Charlie's bike isn't working, he has to accept a lift to school from his girlfriend Amy. When at school we meet Charlie's new friends Mark and Ben, who never talked to him until he recently started dating Amy. His old friend Ed Lee expresses his concerns to Charlie about their mutual friend Adam's disappearance. Charlie wants nothing to do with Ed, as he's one of the cool kids now, so Ed threatens to release childhood videos of the two unless he agrees to meet him at Adam's house after school. After school Charlie bails on Ed, and goes home to meet the new neighbor Jerry Dandridge, who is clearly attracted to Amy, while also flirting with Jane. Charlie gets a text from Ed, prompting him to rush off to meet him. At Adam's house the two break in, and Ed explains that he and Adam were following Charlie's neighbor Jerry, and that they believe he is a vampire responsible for all the missing people in the area. They were planning on meeting with the vampire expert from TV, to find a way to defeat him when Adam went missing. The two argue about social status and girls for a while, before both go their separate ways. Ed gets jumped by Mark on his way home, but jumps a fence and escapes, losing his bag in the process. He eventually bumps into a waiting Jerry, but manages to flee inside a house for protection.
No invitation, you can't get in.
Jerry walks straight in, not needing an invite into an abandoned house. Ed runs a lap through the house, ending in the backyard and falling into the pool. Jerry does some convincing, and bites him.
Please help me.
Charlie notices that Ed is missing from class, and goes around to his house to check on him. After searching Ed's computer he comes across recordings of Jerry, appearing invisible on camera. When Charlie gets home he is met by Jerry, who asks to borrow some beer for a date. Charlie uses this as a chance to test Jerry, seeing if he will come inside without being invited. But he can't. Upstairs Amy is waiting for Charlie, and wants to have sex tonight for her first time. But Charlie is more interested in Jerry, seeing that it's Doris that his date is with. So Amy gets mad at Charlie and storms out.
Neighborhood watch thing.
Later in the night Charlie wakes to a woman's scream from Jerry's house, and calls the police. Jerry sweet talks the police into leaving, saying that his sexcapades are what made her scream, and takes off in his pickup truck. So Charlie decides to go next door and break into Jerry's and investigate. While upstairs he sees a medieval tapestry hanging on the wall, and a closet full of police uniforms. Before Jerry arrives back home. Having no way to get out Charlie hides in the closet, discovering a false wall in the back. Looking through the empty rooms Charlie finds Doris. But before he can get her out he has to hide from an approaching Jerry. Jerry takes Doris out of her cell and begins feeding on her, Doris signaling Charlie to stay quiet. When finished dinner, Jerry goes back downstairs to relax. Charlie goes back to Doris and the two sneak downstairs and out of the house, but we see Jerry was completely aware. The moment the two reach the sunlight, Doris bursts into flames and reduces to ashes. Charlie now knows he has a vampire to deal with, and tells his mom to never invite Jerry inside, but doesn't tell her why. He now follows Ed's advice, and goes to a Las Vegas show to meet the famous vampire hunter, bluffing his way through security and onto the set. We meet Peter Vincent, who is running through a rehearsal for his new show. After yelling at some technicians on set,
What the fuck, people?
he takes Charlie up to his penthouse assuming he wants an interview. Charlie sees his massive collection of eBay bought occult gear, and begins asking him how to kill a vampire. Vincent tells him that it is all fake, and we see that he is just a nerdy stage actor who hates his leather pants. As Charlie continues to push the question more, uncomfortable feeling Vincent has his assistant throw him out. As night falls, Charlie prepares his house for a vampire attack, while Mark and Ben have a visit from Jerry. As Jane and Amy worry about Charlie, Jerry comes to visit. He tries to convince Jane to let him in by saying that Charlie broke into his house.
He's sick. He's deluded.
But Jane sides with her son.
Go get the authorities.
Jerry goes back home and grabs a shovel and a lighter, and since he needs an invite into a person's home, he removes the home. The three manage to survive and take Jane's car to escape, with Jerry hurling Charlie's bike into it and nearly killing Amy. He chases them down in his truck, before jumping out in front of them in the middle of the road, so Jane runs him down. Jerry then begins ripping through the car's flooring, having gripped onto the undercarriage.
Fucked up vampire head, now do you believe me?
He slams the brake on, causing another car to rear-end them suddenly. As the dashing stranger gets out to confront them, Jerry, looking much less attractive, arises from the wreckage, taking the driver and draining him dry, using the blood to heal his wounds. As Charley approaches him with a cross drawn but without faith, Jerry isn't affected by it. Jerry is about to kill Charley, when he is stabbed through the back by Jane, before she collapses. As advertised, the group takes the other driver's car and escape, driving Jane to the hospital. Back in Vegas, Peter Vincent is onto something, and calls Charley to come see him.
My place in 1 hour.
They arrive and Vincent tells them everything he knows, that the tapestry belongs to a nesting vampire, and they will need an army to defeat him. Vincent gets a call about a delivery, thinking it is more eBay crap, so he invites the delivery boy upstairs. Evil Ed walks in, having been sent by Jerry to kill Vincent. After Ed calls Jerry and tells him that Charley is there, Vincent flees into a safe room, severing Ed's arm in the process.
Holy shit!
Ed and Charley begin to fight, with Charley using weapons from Vincent's vast collection, and almost being bitten by his old friend. Jerry has arrived at the building, and although Amy fails to do anything with silver bullets,
Werewolves.
she throws holy water in his face,
Vampires.
and saves Charley in time, leaving him to stake his old pal in the heart, and watch him dissolve. The two flee downstairs and into a nightclub, but get separated in the crowd of partygoers. Jerry catches Amy and hypnotizes her, and while Charley is being thrown out, Amy gets bit. Charley goes back up to the penthouse and receives a piece of wood from Vincent, who says vampires killed his parents, but he's too scared to help. As night falls, Charley gears up head to toe, and goes to Jerry's house. He smashes out all the windows, before being startled by Vincent, who is also geared up and ready to fight. They gracefully descend into Jerry's nest, before Jerry separates the two of them. Vincent is left alone with Jerry,
Welcome to Fright Night, for real.
who uses some of his blood to summon an army of vampires made up of the missing townspeople. Vincent begins to have success, before his eBay item earns a negative review. Charley is locked in a room with evil Amy, but before she can bite him, uses Vincent's stake to wound her, giving him time to escape. He finds Vincent being feasted on, and blows out the flooring of the house above, letting in daylight and saving him. Jerry gloats that all he has to do is wait until the sun goes down, and starts to get distracted. Charley gears up, asking Vincent to set him on fire.
Fuck.
He lights up and runs at Jerry, surprising him and attaching the two together. Jerry begins to try and shake Charley off, bashing him against the walls and roof, before Vincent finally blows the rest of the flooring out above. The fire and sun are too much for Jerry, who begins to melt away. Vincent throws Charley the stake, and Jerry is finally got in the heart, letting out one last roar. Dark spirits are shown leaving the bodies of the other vampires, and Charley has survived the thrashing by Jerry. Some time later everything is back to normal, with the exception of Charley and Amy now hanging out at Vincent's penthouse.
Carry on.
And the movie ends. Fright Night is a 2011 horror film directed by Craig Gillespie and produced by Michael De Luca and Alison Rosenzweig. The writer and director of the original, Tom Holland, stated that he wasn't a fan of this remake. Colin Farrell stated the role of Jerry was one of the hardest to play in his career, as Jerry has no soul. He also expressed concern that his character was too much of a sexual predator, and suggested script changes. None were made. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.
I don't breathe, you know. Fucking rashes are fucking killing me.